Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast live stream. Things are developing hot and heavy, continuing to develop in the Middle East in this war. And yes, it is a war between Israel and the jihadist regime in Iran. But here's a big takeaway. Right now, it's mano a mano, Israel and Iran toe to toe. But is the United States about to get involved? Folks, on day 5 of this conflict, that is where the story, so to speak, has gone. That's how things have progressed. As I come to you, about 4:10 here in Texas p.m., 5:10 on the East Coast here in the United States, President Trump just emerged from an urgent meeting in the Situation Room with his national security team. And the reports are coming frequently by the hour that he is strongly considering joining Israel in striking and destroying Iran's nuclear weapons facilities. Now, the big target here that could necessitate U.S. involvement is the Iranian reactor at Fordow. That's Fordow. And it's, you could say, the most notorious of Iran's nuclear facilities in that it's buried deep underground, heavily fortified underground bunker, impenetrable, at least the Iranian regime says so, except perhaps by American bunker busting bombs. Now, listen, I don't discount that Israel can do it. I think if the last 8 months or so in particular, since Operation Exploding Pager, the takeout of Nasrallah, even take it back last summer, the takeout of Hanea in Tehran, now this incredible Iran operation, if that's told us anything, it's that you can't sleep on Israel. Israel is, they are the kings of daring, improbable military and intelligence operations. So Israel taking out Fordow, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. But here's where the U.S. comes in. For Israel to take out Fordow, it would probably be repeated bombing runs, maybe even some special forces on the ground, potentially in harm's way. It could take weeks. Whereas a few payloads from a B-52 bomber from the United States would settle that issue quickly, and the war's over. I mean, if the U.S. gets involved, the war essentially ends, and lives are saved, and you've got a new Middle East. Whether the U.S. gets involved or not, we're going to have a new Middle East at the end of this. And Prime Minister Netanyahu said that earlier today. We're looking, and in all my interviews over the past few days, I've been asking all the experts, are we about to see a Middle East? And they say, yeah, you're looking at a new Middle East. But can Donald Trump, here's the big question that I lay out to you as we get started today. Can Donald Trump change the course of history here? Could he cement his legacy as the most pro-Israel president in American history, one of the great friends of Israel? Many have compared him to a Cyrus from the Bible, which is ironic because Cyrus ruled over the ancient Persian Empire. Ancient Persia is modern-day Iran. Is Trump a modern-day Cyrus? I think if he joins Israel here and finishes the job, finishes off the Iranian regime, in the very least, finishes off its nuclear program, he's an historical figure. He's really already an historical figure, but that solidifies his legacy, I believe, and I think he knows that because he's the problem solver. He's the deal maker. The Iranian regime has been a thorn in the side of Israel, the entire region, the United States, the world for 46 years. Especially in the last 25 or so, as it's been ramping up this nuclear program. So Trump is solving here. If he gives Israel a big assist, gets involved in the air, and finishes the job, he is solving what many saw as an unsolvable problem. And here's the thing. It wasn't an unsolvable problem, as Israel just proved, or is in the process of proving. It just took some backbone, which the Western world sorely lacks. Trump's got it. Bibi's got it. And when they're working together in tandem, look, we saw from 2017 to 2020. Now we see what's going to happen perhaps in Iran. Trump and Bibi together, two strong Churchillian leaders. That's a dynamic duo. And that spells trouble for the tyrants of the world, in particular in the Middle East. But what do you think, my watchmen and women on the wall? We've got thousands watching now. We're pushing towards 1.1 million subscribers now, and this is why we do what we do. And we're happy about that because that means we reach the broadest possible audience with a message of truth. So I lay it out to you. What do you think? Should the U.S. get involved and just help Israel finish the job here and do it quickly? What do you think? Comment and let me know. While you're at it, if you have not subscribed, be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. We focus on breaking news, current events, chiefly out of the Middle East and Israel, but we cover the whole geopolitical sphere globally. But right now, the story is the Middle East, it's Israel, and we're going to bring it to you from a non-politically correct, unapologetically biblical perspective. So if you like that, be sure to subscribe. And by the way, we did another 90-minute live special last night on TBN. It was posted here on the channel. It already has about 800,000 views in about 17 hours since we posted it. So check out the homepage. It's there. We're bringing content. We're doing, in some days, 2 posts per day because we have this channel from God Almighty for such a time as this. The prophetic chess pieces right now are moving all over the board. And they've really been since October 7th. They've really been since May 14th, 1948, when Israel was miraculously reborn as a nation. But things have gone into overdrive in the past year and a half, and things are being set up. Larger prophetic events, I believe, I'm thinking Ezekiel, are being set into motion right now with these current engagements. But Donald J. Trump, a few things to note. Number one, he left the G7 meeting in Canada with other world leaders, other Western leaders, last night early. He rushed back to Washington, D.C. for urgent meetings, consultations with his cabinet, his national security team in the Situation Room in D.C. He just left the Situation Room a few minutes ago, as I said. It's about 4:15 here in Texas. Now what? Well, I can give you an idea where he's leaning. He's posted some things on Truth Social, on his social media site. And I want to quote these to you directly. Over the past 24 hours, what Donald Trump has been saying. Let's see. Number one, he wrote last night, as he was on the plane, I believe, returning from Canada to D.C., because Emmanuel Macron and other weak-willed, spineless Western leaders who were at that gathering in Canada said, oh, Trump left early, urgently to go back to D.C. to sign a ceasefire peace deal with Iran. Iran said, or Trump said, you would have done that spinelessly. Capitulation, appeasement. Here's what Trump said, quote, I have not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape, or form. That's fake news. If they want to talk, they know how to reach me. They should have taken the deal. It would have saved a lot of lives. Trump was dangling to them a lifeline. Whether he should have or shouldn't have, he was saying, look, I got to at least try the diplomatic option and see if they bite. Maybe they'll bite. If they don't bite, we'll unleash hell. He gave them a 60-day window. He gave the Iranian regime 60 days to agree to a deal. They refused. On day 61, Israel began bombing. He's a man of his word. He keeps his promises. And now, why would you agree to a deal? I mean, I think the goal now should be regime change. Topple this wicked regime. And you might say, oh, regime change has gotten us a lot of trouble over the years. Yeah, it has, but this is different because this is a regime that is the puppet master behind everything in the Middle East, all the madness, mayhem, murder, and terror. You take out the head of the snake, you've got a new Middle East. And the other difference is there truly are democratic forces and voices in Iran who hate this regime. Who would follow this regime? Unsure. But I can tell you, I know the opposition leaders who are based globally, and I can tell you certainly the U.S. and Israel have war gamed this out, what comes next in Iran. Could it get any worse than what we currently have? The world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism, responsible for murder and chaos for decades? I'll take the devil you do know, the devil you don't know doesn't apply here. I'll take my chances. Get rid of this evil, demonic Nazi death cult that runs Iran now and victimizes its own people, chief and foremost. Get rid of them. I'm willing to take that chance. It doesn't get much worse, again, than the Ayatollahs. But Trump said, look, you could have had a deal, you blew it. I love it because he's a man of his word. He also said, and this is important, quote, he's been posting a bunch the past 24 hours. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. Ayatollah Khamenei, he is an easy target, but he is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill him, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at Israeli civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. He went on to just post 2 words later: unconditional surrender. He's talking about Iran, read between the lines. So Trump all along, and I love it, because he played the game on the surface. He telegraphed to the world that he and Bibi had tension over Iran, that they weren't on the same page. Meanwhile, they're coordinating closely behind the scenes all along. Trump knew this was coming on June 13th when Israel launched it early in the morning. Not only that, he doesn't mess around. He gave them 60 days, and they didn't do it in 60 days. So he said, Israel, unleash hell. Do what you got to do. You got to love it. A leader who says what he means and does what he says. And he knows now that the Iranian regime, again, I said at the top, he has a chance to solve an intractable, seemingly intractable, unsolvable problem. The Iran nuclear problem, once and for all. He's the man. He's got a golden opportunity to do it. Israel's doing it, but look, it's going to take a while. Israel, a formidable, fearsome, incredible military, but it's the size of the state of New Jersey, the state of Israel. Iran is massive. It dwarfs Israel geographically. It's a hard target. And these nuclear facilities, as I mentioned a minute ago, some are hardened deep underground. Trump could come in and end this in one day. And the other question floating around is, okay, does the U.S. get involved? But what about Khamenei, the supreme leader? You know where he is. Bibi said yesterday in an interview that if you take out Khamenei, this war ends. Is that true? If the supreme leader is eliminated, does the war end? He's in a bunker someplace. And I wonder what's going through his mind right now. Folks, think about this. The Ayatollah Khamenei has devoted his life to the destruction of Israel and the Jewish people. I mean, he lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes Jew hatred and genocide. It's all he does. It's seemingly all he talks about. It takes precedent over everything in his rule and under his purview, including his own people's welfare. All he cared about at the end of the day, it was a laser-focused obsession with destroying the Zionist entity, as he would call it, Israel. And he also calls it the little Satan and calls America the great Satan. So we were like 1 and 1A on his hit list. But he spent decades and billions of dollars bypassing his own people's needs again and taking money that could have gone to the Iranian people and instead funneling it to Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, the militias in Iraq, and Assad in Syria, and spent it on developing nuclear weapons in his own country, all with the goal of destroying Israel. And now look, what's going through his mind? He's cowering in a bunker, fearing for his life. And let's look at the state of play real quick. In the past 5 days, Israel has eliminated at least 20 Iranian military generals, at least 14 nuclear scientists, advisors and military leaders who are close to Khamenei. The ranks around him are dwindling. Israel has destroyed the Natanz nuclear reactor, which was the main uranium enrichment site. And if I'm not mistaken, Natanz was above ground, not fortified underground, although it did have levels underground as well. Israel's also made a big dent at the Isfahan reactor, the Parchin reactor. But this operation doesn't end until Fordo is taken out. That's an important one, which I mentioned earlier, which may necessitate U.S. involvement. We'll see. But it's all come crashing down. I mean, Israel, the hated Zionist entity, has complete control of the skies over Iran, including the capital, Tehran. It's operating with impunity. Israel is operating at will. It's absolutely stunning. We have mass evacuations, millions of people fleeing Tehran right now. And President Trump encouraged that last night. He said something big is coming. People in Tehran evacuate in capital letters. So there's hysteria there. They're fleeing. At the same time, Israel has destroyed some 1/3 of Iran's ballistic missile stockpiles. And oh, by the way, Iran's ring of fire that Khamenei meticulously built up over decades, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Assad, etc., it's smashed. It's a shell of what it was. It's a smoldering heap of ruins. Hezbollah, the crown jewel of the Iranian regime, the ultimate insurance policy for the mullahs, for the ayatollahs. All along, everyone said, well, you know, if Israel strikes Iran's nuclear facilities, they'll have hell to pay because Hezbollah, joined by Hamas and the others, the ring of fire will ignite all around Israel's borders. They'll rain thousands upon thousands of missiles upon Israel, drones. And now look, you haven't heard a peep from Hezbollah since Friday. They actually issued a statement Friday saying they're not going to get involved. Why? Because they're crushed. They want no parts. And Iran spent over 40 years building Hezbollah up. Khamenei wrote a book just a few years ago called Palestine, in which he predicted, he vowed really, that Israel would be destroyed, I believe it was by the year 2040. 2040. All of this, what is going through his head right now? He was confident, arrogant, and then come October 7th, 2023, oddly enough, which was his greatest triumph, I mean, the Axis, their greatest triumph, it all came crashing down. It all began to crumble. I have argued on that day many times, folks. And by the way, I have to read you this text message exchange from Ambassador Mike Huckabee, the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, and President Trump. You're going to want to hear this. And President Trump posted today on the White House social media platforms. You're going to want to hear this. I believe it's prophetic. But the great moment of triumph. Hamas invades. And by the way, Hamas got ahead of the curve. They weren't supposed to invade that early. It was supposed to be a coordinated thing with the rest of the Ring of Fire at once. Talk about God looking out for Israel. As horrific and horrible, unspeakable as October 7th was, it could have been 1,000 times worse. They all invaded at once. On a holiday, on Shabbat, on a holiday, Simchat Torah, the last day of Sukkot. It's disturbing to even think about what could have happened. And what did happen was horrific enough. 1,200 Jews massacred, worst massacre since the Holocaust, over 240 more dragged into the bowels of hell in Gaza in Hamas captivity. And then the next day, October 8th, Hezbollah began launching rockets and missiles ad nauseum. The Houthis were launching, the Shia militias were launching. Israel was on the run, on the ropes, or so Iran thought. And what the Iranian regime and its proxies did was awake a sleeping giant. Again, a nation the size of the state of New Jersey that punches far above its weight. Israel, when the dust settles here, ladies and gentlemen, will be the regions, I should say, not only the region's lone superpower, because look, Iran was building up. They were a powerhouse, no doubt, before October 7th. They had a blooming, blossoming nuclear program, a massive ballistic missile stockpile, an alliance with Russia, China, and North Korea, the Gathering Storm Coalition, I call them, by the way, and a fully intact ring of fire surrounding Israel on all sides. They were feeling really good about themselves. The wind was at their backs. Joe Biden was in office, for God's sake, or the carcass of Joe Biden. I mean, and throughout Europe, we had weak leadership. They're feeling great, with a few exceptions in Europe, notable exceptions, but by and large, Western Europe, I mean, France, Britain, Germany. Iran thought there was nothing between them and Middle East domination. Israel's days are numbered. That's what Khamenei kept saying. The wind was at their backs, and it all turned, ironically enough, on October 7th. In short order, methodically, dramatically, over the past year and a half, Israel has crushed Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, two Iranian proxies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Assad regime in Syria collapsed, and now we have this new regime, and we'll see what their deal is, the former jihadis. But there's rumblings they may make peace with Israel. Assad's gone. Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad smashed. The Houthis, yeah, they're still firing projectiles, but they're not long for this world, especially with their Iranian lifeline now cut off. The Shia militias in Iraq keeping a pretty low profile. It's stunning, the turnaround here. And now Iran itself, the head of the snake, the head of the octopus, some have called it, finally being held accountable directly. Folks, this is biblical justice, no doubt. And what a turnaround. And out of this, Israel, I believe, will not only become the regional power. Israel is now a global power. Now, in many respects, Israel already was. Some have ranked it as the fourth strongest military in the world. Tiny Israel. Israel's an economic, scientific, high-tech powerhouse. And despite facing war nonstop for 77 years, Israelis actually rank consistently every year as among the happiest people in the world. So now Israel has the wind at its back. How do you like that? You know, in the book of Deuteronomy, God told Moses Israel would be the head and not the tail of the nations. And Israel now, I believe, is stepping into its prophetic destiny as a light unto the nations. And this war and the elimination of the Iranian axis is going a long way towards that. It's amazing to behold. We've seen God Almighty, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, show up again and again over the past year and a half. I mean, miraculous intelligence and military operations that only God could make possible and provide. And Israel suffering calamities, yes, and serious ones, but calamities that could have been complete catastrophes, if not for a few, if the ball bounced a different way. God's hand is on Israel, no doubt. And they've weathered a storm here that not many nations could weather or have weathered. And they're about to come out on the other side victorious here. I don't know what's going to become of the Iranian regime. I do know this. If not this week or next week, if it's a month from now, a year or two from now, they're headed for the ash heap of history. I could have told you that on October 6, 2023, when they were at their strongest. They're headed for the ash heap of history. They're going to follow, look, in the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 3, God is very clear. It's non-negotiable. It's very black and white, no gray areas. If you curse Israel, you'll be cursed. You don't agree? Let's take a cursory glance at the last 3,500 years of human history. Pharaoh in Egypt, the Assyrian Empire, the Amalekites, all those Canaanite tribes, the Philistines, the Babylonians, Haman, prime minister of the mighty Persian Empire, the Greeks, the Romans, the Ottomans, the Tsars, the Nazis, of course. What did they have in common? These far-flung individuals, empires, all of them hated Israel, all of them hated the Jewish people. And all of them met very unpleasant collapses and ends. And now the Iranian axis is meeting that same fate. And you doubt Genesis 12:3? And look at the United States, despite all our troubles, and I'm praying for revival now. We've got strong leadership back, obviously. God has given us a second chance here in America. But this nation, and it may not always last, I'm fully aware, depends on our posture towards God, and a lot of it depends on our posture towards Israel. But this nation has been blessed more than any nation in the history of the world. And I believe a major reason for that is because we have blessed Israel as a nation, by and large, and been a safe haven for the Jewish people. Although we have this current horrific rise in anti-Semitism, By and large, overwhelmingly, America has been a safe haven, a safe place for the Jewish people. One of the few safe places other than Israel that the Jewish people have had over the past 2,000 years since the Roman dispersion. So keep all this in mind, that you're seeing God move. You're seeing God's promises fulfilled. Hey, I will curse those who curse you. There you go. And you're seeing, I believe, the groundwork laying for what many have called Ezekiel's war. Look at the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38, 37, 38, 39, the war of Gog and Magog. You might be watching and saying, what's this guy talking about? Funny name, I know. But these are ancient names for modern nations. And guess what? Persia, modern day Iran, is among these nations in this latter days, Ezekiel says, in the latter days it'll happen, coalition that comes against Israel. I'm not, spoiler alert, they don't get very far. You're going to want to go and read it yourself. God shows up, man, he shows up. Let's just say that. But it's interesting to me that Persia, and I believe Turkey will join them. I believe Russia may very well be in there as well. Modern day Iran, for them, Ezekiel is going to be, Ezekiel's war will be a war of revenge. They're licking their wounds. And they're going to be a junior partner because they're going to be so weakened now. Unless folly of follies, the regime survives, and it may. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Israel and the U.S. may say, all right, we destroyed the nuclear program. You know, we don't want to take a chance on regime change. The regime's so weakened now, let's just leave them in place because they're a shell of their former self. They don't pose any kind of threat anymore. We've got them completely, as President Trump tweeted out earlier today, unconditional surrender. Fasten your seatbelts. It's all happening now, but I do want to, before I go, read you this text. Have you heard about this? My good friend, Mike Huckabee, I host a nightly show on TBN. It's called Stakelbeck Tonight. It's seen every weeknight on TBN, the world's largest Christian television network, every Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with a re-air at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Governor, now Ambassador, Mike Huckabee is a friend. He was a fellow TBN host, had a great show called Huckabee that was on TBN every weekend. Now, talk about for such a time as this, a Bible-believing Christian is the top U.S. diplomat in Israel during this prophetic time. Only God could arrange that. Mike Huckabee's the right man for this time. He's God's man for this time. And he said the same about Donald Trump. Folks, listen to this. I'm going to read this entire text message. It's a real text message exchange between Ambassador Mike Huckabee and the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Listen to this. I get chills reading it. You're seeing prophecy, all sorts of things happen, but here it is. Okay. Here's the text. I don't know if the White House was supposed to publish this, but they did. I think President Trump was so touched and moved by it and galvanized. And it reminds me of the people who were talking to President Harry Truman in 1948, right before he recognized the United States was the first nation to recognize Israel, the reborn nation of Israel. We played a prophetic role there. Truman did. And people were telling Truman, similar to what Huckabee says to Trump here. Listen to this. Okay. He wrote, Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, PA, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders, I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters, his voice, God's voice. I, Huckabee wrote, am your appointed servant in this land and am available for you. But I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours. And here's that name, not since Harry Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes and ears and voice, to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment, Mr. President. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you. Mike Huckabee. Amen. And I happen to agree with every word that he wrote. President Trump right now is in a unique position. He can be the man. Israel's done the legwork, obviously, but he can be the man alongside Israel to decisively end one of the world's greatest threats, the Iranian nuclear program. There's nothing stopping him. He tweeted earlier, we have complete control of the skies over Iran. Just emerged from a Situation Room meeting. Look, on one hand, he's got that text message that Mike Huckabee sent may change history. It may have had that kind of profound impact on the president. I think it did. Will he go through with it in Iran? I don't know, but if the dust settles and the U.S. does help Israel in smashing Iran, its nuclear program, its regime, don't discount the influence that Huckabee text had, because I know for a fact President Trump highly respects Mike Huckabee, as I do, and as we all should. He's a great man of God, and a great American patriot, and a great friend of Israel. So don't discount the impact of that text message. And look, what's been satisfying for me and gratifying to see over the past few days, and I was concerned about this over the weeks. You know, if you watch me on a regular basis, those isolationist voices in the administration and the Tucker Carlsons of the world, we'll call him. What a disappointment he turned out to be. I was a Tucker fan, looked forward to his monologues every night. Little did I know what was lurking beneath, just a venomously anti-Israel mouthpiece, buddying up to Qatar. What a disappointment. But you know what? President Trump called him kooky Tucker. Again, I was a big fan. I really respected him. And he's gone off the rails when it comes to Israel, Middle East. It's really disappointing. But, you know, it's good when people reveal who they really are. And if you get Israel wrong, and by the way, President Trump called him kooky Tucker Carlson on social media. So the isolationist wing is not, there's an undercurrent of anti-Semitism, not among all of them, but among some. There's an undercurrent there of, we just don't like Israel and the Jews. Not all. Some say, look, I just don't believe in foreign intervention at all. I get it, but I don't agree with it in all cases. In some cases I do, but in the Israel case, this is different because it directly impacts America. But I say all that to say, if you get Israel wrong, there's not much you'll get right. You get everything right, but if you're wrong on Israel, I got to write you off. Because to me, Israel is so black and white. It's so clearly good versus evil. There's no gray area here. And if you don't have the moral clarity to see that, and you fail the Israel test, you get an F for your overall grade, in my view. Because again, this is not brain surgery. You have a democracy, a bastion of Judeo-Christian Western civilization, land of the Bible, ally of America, the West, pitted against jihadist barbarians who want to kill not only every American, but every Westerner, every non-jihadist. This is not brain surgery, not a tough decision. But if you're watching this live stream, I get the distinct feeling that you know that, and you've come to the right place. So keep it all in prayer. I mean, look, we'll see what the next 24 hours brings. We'll see. Night has fallen in the Middle East. It's past midnight there now. President Trump has emerged from the Situation Room. Fasten your seatbelts and pray. Great being here with you. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. Breaking updates every day for the foreseeable future. This is why we do what we do. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.